Hey, what's up? It's Brian Scalabrine, the White Mamba, also 2008 World Champion Boston Celtics. Now, you're listening to the Boston Big Three podcast presented by Ride the Wave Media.
All right, Boston's Big Three, episode 68, presented by Ride the Wave Media. An unlikely crew today. We're going to introduce Ryan Sheehan and Dante Turo of Chasing Banners podcast. You could catch up on their Twitters at Dante on Deck and I believe 401 Sheehan. I looked at this right before. That's what I thought. Check them out on Twitter. They're big on Twitter. You guys want to introduce yourselves a little more, talk about your podcast, talk about really we're about to do an NBA heavy show. I figured us three, we had a history working together in the past. Talking basketball, let's just bring the band back together as the bubbles coming to a open. So how are we, boys?
I'm doing good, man. I appreciate you having us on. For everyone that doesn't know, my name's Dante Toro. You can follow me on Twitter at Dante on Deck. There, I just cover all things Boston Celtics. I have my blog. Me and Ryan have our own podcasts, Chasing Banners, our Celtics podcast. Hoops Caviar is our just brand, just entirely talking about basketball. And now that we have the season coming back up, I'm excited to put out more content, talk about the games that will be coming up, and it's a pretty exciting time.
And for me, what's going on, guys? I'm Ryan Sheehan. I go by my last name most of the time, Sheehan. It is the greatest Irish name in the world. And Dante hears me say that every week. I'm 401 Sheehan on Twitter. I cover the Celtics, the Pats, basically all sports and all buffoonery. So if you want to find anything funny or just some stuff to laugh at, you can find my Twitter. I also have my own podcast called Sheehan's World, which is, I just bring guests on, and it's basically everything's off the dome. So there's no segments, anything like that. Yep. Miller's been on there. That was an awesome episode, by the way. And also got Chasing Banners with Dante and Hoops Caviar with Dante. So, just a little bit of everything. And I'm so happy to be on. Thanks for having us on, Miller.
All right, first things first. Today is July 30th, Thursday, which means the NBA is coming back today exactly in an hour from now. We're recording this at 5:30. Jazz Pelicans start the season, but then that's kind of like when you go to a concert and there's just the opening act and nobody really cares about the opening act. The main event tonight, we got Lakers Clippers, Battle of LA. We'll see what happens with, all this time off to see who the king of LA really is. But from the jump, you pick one of these two teams to make it to the finals. Who you picking, the Lakers or the Clippers?
At the beginning of the year, my choice was originally the Clippers. When they signed Kawhi Leonard, they made the trade for Paul George. And, from the get-go, they had a solid, well-rounded roster. And throughout the season, they just added on so many more pieces. They got Reggie Jackson, Marcus Morris coming off the bench now. They signed Joakim Noah that started one of their scrimmage games. And it's not only is their starting five just so great, but it's then you look at their bench and it's that could be a starting five on a crappy team like the Knicks or something like that. You got Reggie, Lou Will, Marcus Morris,
picked up Joakim,
Montrez, Joakim. That's a solid team. I think they have the best roster in the NBA. But I'm saying that, but then as the season went on, I kind of changed my pickup a little bit. Now I'm starting to think it might be the Lakers that do it. I just think, I know the media has been kind of playing into it. They've been tying, the whole MVP race with LeBron, saying how he should win it because everything he went through with Kobe passing and his old age and everything. I personally believe the day that Kobe Bryant passed away, one of the things I was thinking of was wow, okay, the Lakers might win it all this year.
Yeah, that was the first thought.
I literally was okay, they are literally going to use this as the biggest motivation to just chase a ring, bring the city of Los Angeles, just cheer them up, to just bring them that sense, knowing that LeBron James carried them to another title after everything with Kobe. And I just think LeBron's going to be, playoff LeBron is one of the best players that has ever touched the basketball. And just him having this extra motivation now doing it for Kobe. He posted on Instagram today saying the marathon continues, this is for Kobe. And it's just damn, I think they're going to get it done this year. And plus, you have Anthony Davis like that. It's probably the best duo in the NBA. So I think the Lakers are going to win it all now.
Yeah, at the beginning of the year, I was the same thing with Dante. I had the Clippers just because of the roster they were coming up with, and then obviously wherever Kawhi goes, it's obvious that they're going to be a title contender. So I saw the team that was built around him, and then I just saw that whole team, and I was like, the Clippers are definitely going to be the team coming out of the West and the team to beat in LA. But then after everything that happened with Kobe, like Dante just said, this is something we do a lot, by the way. We agree on a lot of things. I noticed that LeBron was given a new motivation. And the last thing you want to do is motivate that man, because he's the scariest man one of the scariest players ever in the NBA touch the court. So you do not want to motivate him. So my pick coming out of the West, and especially out of LA, is going to be the Lakers, just because LeBron is just completely unstoppable when he gets to the playoffs. We know how he plays when he's in the regular season. The playoffs is a whole different story from him. Whole different story. So that's the team I have to beat in LA.
There's two things that I noticed like right away. Like I've been watching just random scrimmages. One, it's going to be an open gym run the whole time. There's no one to boo you if you take a terrible shot. There's no one to criticize you, like really anything like that. So that's like the whole momentum gets taken away. So I think these are just going to be crazy high-scoring games. So it's going to be who can keep up with who, because I see nothing but fast breaks, nothing but pace, and just quick offense. Because like we said, there's no other external factors influencing what happens in the game. Second thing, this is a stretch because Anthony Davis is one of the best players in the NBA. We've never seen him in the playoffs. Obviously, this isn't the playoff atmosphere that everyone would compare what makes a caliber playoff player. But we saw him that 1 year against Golden State, and then they actually beat the Jazz. Okay, so we saw a little in the playoffs, but we never see him get Western Conference Finals, Eastern Conference Finals, whatever it is. Do I think he's going to be bad? No, obviously not. But we've never seen the bright lights, quote unquote, are on and everybody's watching. Obviously, like I keep saying, it's going to be a little different this year. But still, like when it comes down to the last four teams who can find out which way to work, we never seen Anthony Davis there. We have seen Kawhi there. We have seen LeBron there. We've seen a bunch of people in the Celtics, Giannis, scattered throughout the East more say. But that West is obviously going to be between Lakers, Clippers, and I think it goes down just to Lakers strictly because of LeBron, strictly because the way they operate. You don't see Lou Will on the Lakers pulling up to a strip club and getting a slap on the wrist 10-day quarantine. If that's the case, and LeBron's lost the team, I don't know. I think this is more of a business trip for the people in LA because as opposed to the Clippers, the Lakers have a lot more vets that are big names, used to be a lot better than what their name tells them now, like the Dion Waiters of the world, the JaVale McGee's, Dwight Howard's.
Mr. Celtics killer.
Yeah, J.R. Smith's. They're fitting in their role, at least this year. Waiters and Smith have only played in the scrimmages, but their job is just to shoot the ball every time they touch it like that always has been. But you see McGee and Dwight Howard having crazy bounce-back years. I'm not sure if the Clippers can hang with that. Maybe. Like, you have Montrezl Harrell, but they're not anyone outside of Zubac, wicked tall to cover Anthony Davis, JaVale McGee, and Dwight Howard, that front court trio. But I don't know. We'll see what happens tonight, game one. In terms of the East, this is more of an open field, I feel. It can go down to Milwaukee. It can go down to the Celtics, Raptors, and I'll throw Philly in for pity. But other than that, I don't see any other team. I don't see the Heat really making all that noise. Like, they were a good regular season team. I don't know. Like, I just don't see them being anything. Plus, they've just been living in Florida this whole time where everybody in the world has corona. Can't be good. So, I don't know. What are your thoughts on the East? More say, I guess, these top four teams right off the bat.
I mean, if we're being we're being real here. I mean, it should be Milwaukee. That's the team that, takes the cake in the Eastern Conference. I mean, especially after last season. I mean, Giannis he's on pace. He's most likely going to win the MVP for a second straight year. There's a very good chance he wins the Defensive Player of the Year. And he would be the third player ever to win both of those awards in the same season. Michael Jordan and Hakeem Olajuwon are the only other two guys to do it. He's just having a legendary season. The Bucks have the best regular season record, especially after losing in the playoffs last year, the Eastern Conference Finals to Kawhi and the Raptors. They lost 4-2. I'm pretty sure they're up 2-0, and then they lost 4 straight. I just think they have that extra motivation, the extra push. And Milwaukee, the organization alone, is really banking on a finals appearance, because I feel like if the Bucks don't make it that far again, they have the roster that they have, everything, they have all the pieces around Giannis, and they don't make it to the finals, that could be a bad sign that Giannis might not be staying there long term. He might look to go somewhere else in the next when he hits free agency after next season. But I think Milwaukee, they should be the clear-cut favorite to make it out of the East. I do believe the Raptors have a good shot of making some noise. Them and the Celtics, I believe, are neck and neck. I believe they're on par with each other, like just talent-wise. I personally think that the Celtics have one of the best, if not the best, starting five in basketball. You got three guys averaging 20 points a game, Gordon Hayward averaging over 17, and Daniel Tice, that's a utility big man that just does everything for you. But the Raptors have guys that have, been to the finals. They have won the finals. They have that championship experience. And Nick Nurse is one of the best coaches in the NBA, if not the best coach. So I think those two teams are the biggest threat to take out the Bucks. I like your pity throw-in for the 76ers.
They're not doing anything.
They're not going to do anything.
Like,
I think that they're going to have that hype. Like I've been watching like ESPN, like First Take, Get Up, and all that stuff, and people are starting to think that the Sixers are going to be the biggest threat to the Bucks now that they're seeing Ben Simmons shoot more.
Yeah,
And
every time Ben Simmons shoots a three on the internet. Like,
I'm like, come on. I mean, and they came out this report where it's like he had to go to a psychologist, or you had to go see someone about shooting a jump shot. Like, I'm not trying to like shit on the guy. I mean, just shoot the basketball, man. You don't got to make like all this extra stuff. Just like get out there.
Twitter's in his head, Dante.
If you're open, just shoot the basketball. Like what that Tyler Creator tweet out, he goes, cyberbullying ain't a thing. Just like shut your phone off, close your eyes or something. Like ignore what the people are saying. Go out there, play basketball. Like do your thing. But
it's not even make threes. It's just put them up. Like who cares?
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like you're gonna like the only way to get better at it is to keep shooting, keep practicing. If you're not out there shooting, attempting threes, you're not gonna get better at it. Like there's only so much you can do in practice. If you don't bring it on to the court when you're actually playing, it doesn't mean anything.
So wait, aren't they moving him to power forward and Al to the bench now?
I heard that they were gonna move him to the power forward. I mean, if they're doing that, I'm assuming that Al Horford would get benched. I heard Shake Milton.
Yeah.
Starting for them.
He went off one game. Who did they?
Yeah, he did
like
have one
or something. It was just the most random 50 piece I've ever seen in my life. All right, let's go totally biased Celtics right now.
Okay.
Realistic expectations, and then what do we actually want to see happen? But like, what do we think is gonna happen versus? Oh, the Celtics are going to the championship, which I personally do because I keep thinking they will, and I think I'm feeding into that. I haven't watched Celtics basketball in months, and every single time I see a tweet, I get into it. I'm like, all right, yeah. Like when I see Enes Kanter saying like, oh, we have the best chemistry in basketball. I'm like, you've been here for 45 minutes, but I believe you. Like, I'm not going to say no to him.
You just want to like eat into it, bro.
Yeah.
Like, you just want to feed into that because I genuinely do believe that the Celtics can make it to the finals. Like I do believe that whatever team comes out of the West is going to be the team that wins it all. Like I just think the Lakers, Clippers are the two best teams in the league, and whoever comes out of the West, they're going to win it. But the Celtics, they can take it to the Bucks. They can take it to the Raptors. They can take it to any team. Like if they go to the finals, which, if they beat the Bucks, it would be 6-7 games, like without a doubt. Like it would be a very, very tough match, a very long matchup. And if they played the Lakers, the Clippers, they've beaten – it's 1-1. The series is tied for both teams. The Lakers beat the Celtics by 2 early in the season when they didn't have Kemba Walker. Then the Celtics beat them by 31, 32 points at home. Clippers, they lost them in overtime, but they beat them again in double overtime at home. Like, they can go toe-to-toe with any of these teams. I just don't – I think people are, like, just thinking that if the Celtics go up against these teams like the Bucks, the Lakers, the Clippers, like, it would just be like, oh – easy win for the other team. Like, no, I think whoever the Celtics can go up against in the playoffs, if they make it to the finals, they're going to make that other team work for it. Like, if they're going to win that series, like, they're going to make them work for it.
Yeah, I got to agree. Like, the Celtics, I honestly believe that the Celtics can make it to the finals. The tough task would be to take on the Bucks, but we knew that going in all season. Like, we knew that Giannis was going to be, like, extremely good, so it's not really a surprise. I mean, going up against Chris Middleton every time is like playing Michael Jordan. So
or Jesus Christ.
Yeah, literally God himself. So that's an issue we got to figure out is how to take out God. But
Operation Takeout God.
yeah, but seriously, I do think this team can make it to the finals. And you were making a joke about Enes Kanter being here for like 45 minutes and talk about chemistry, but I truly believe they do
Yeah,
have the best
I
chemistry in
believe
all
that.
of basketball. I do, because the way those guys mesh together is unlike anyone else in the league. I just think them being so young and being together for like that for these amount of years now has just made them such a better team. So if they are all healthy and they're all on top of their games and playing like they're supposed to, like if Jason Tatum plays like he did in the scrimmages, then no. But again, they were just scrimmages. But if he plays like he did for the month where he's averaging 30 points per game, then yeah, hell yeah. With Jalen averaging 20 a game and then Kemba going off for 20 a game.
Well, people forget Jaylen Brown hasn't stepped foot on the floor whenever they placed the Bucks this season. He sat out every game because
That's
he
also
said
very
he's
true.
he's waiting it out to see what they have for Giannis, what they have for the Bucks. He didn't play a single game against the Bucks this season.
Jalen's going to be their best player
So
throughout the postseason.
the way this is going to shake out, we're probably going to get 3 seed because we're 3 behind. You play 8 playing games. I think we're 3 behind the Raptors. Yeah. So I think it's going to be Bucks, Raptors, us, either Heat or Sixers at 4 and 5, then Pacers. So we're probably going to see Pacers.
And they don't have
That's
Sabonis
fine.
too.
The Sixers have
They
had
don't have
our number
Sabonis,
this year, though.
Yeah, but they don't have Sabonis. They don't have Oladipo. So that puts us 3-6. That would be what? 1-4 would be Bucks and either Heat/Sixers, I'm assuming. So we're probably going to do Pacers, Raptors, and then most likely Bucks if that's the likely outcome if we do make it. Pacers, I think it's like last year. We sweep them. It's a wash. And then we face the Raptors or the Heat, depending on who it is. Those are teams that we do beat the Heat. We struggle against the Raptors, but in the bubble, I feel anything goes. You have no idea what's going to happen, but this is why I keep saying this just looks like such casual pickup, like those like Chris Brickley videos that you see during the offseason when a bunch of players that run an open hoop and like just in an open gym. Except this is legitimate stats. This is a legitimate game. I don't know if the intensity is going to be there. What are your guys, I guess, just overall thoughts on the early scrimmages of the bubble and how that they try to mimic real life gameplay to virtually just an open rec?
I think no, go ahead, Ryan. You go ahead.
I was going to say, well, to start out, one guy who I could see like really having like a difference in their game without there being fans there because of stage fright or something like that is Carson Edwards. I'm just going to put that out there because I think Carson Edwards could really change up in his game. And I think that's one of the main issues he had was trying to just solidify all the hype that he had coming into the season. So if there's no fans there and he comes off the bench and he's scoring like 20 a game or I don't know, something crazy, then we're going to know the issue is he's just afraid of people. I think it's going to be really hard to maintain the same level of intensity that you do in the regular season or when there's just fans there. Because honestly, the fans make such a difference. That when it's fourth quarter, 2 minutes left in the game, it's like a very close game. The fans are making a massive difference. The amount of noise they bring, the amount of intensity, everything. So really at the late stages of the games, I think we're really going to see a difference in how players are playing. Like we won't really see as much intensity. But overall, I think it's giving guys a chance who do get stage fright, if there is guys out there, which I believe Carson Edwards was one, to just ball out. So I'm kind of hyped to see just how this all works out.
Well, even based off that, I've said this on previous episodes, but I feel as if the people who are going to be affected by this bubble the most are like the role players, the bench players who see X amount of minutes per game. Simply because if you're a role player, you get like 12 to 18 minutes a game. You'd much rather play at home. You have the crowd behind you. You know the gym. You know the course. And then like if you hit a shot, the crowd gets a little like wild. You hit another shot, then you start feeling it because you have people behind you. Or if you're on the road as a role player and like you just airball or you do anything like that, you're just going to get chirped relentless, and then you could get in your head that way. There's going to be no fans this way, so you have no idea who's going to be doing what. Like you see J.R. Smith go 6 for 7 from 3. He's a bad example because I think he could do that anywhere because it doesn't matter where he is. He's just going to shoot. But say it was like a Romeo Langford or something like that going 6 for 7 from 3. Or like what we said, like a Grant Williams or something. Just crazy shooting. I don't know if that would translate to the road. And I think that's what we see. One team I wanted to bring up because, Dante, I know you always say you like the Nuggets. I think the Nuggets do well in this bubble simply because Denver has a loyal fan base for the NBA teams, and I don't know the win-loss record at home and away, but I feel as if every time they're on the road, they don't really get a win because they just can't piece it together. They're similar to the Celtics, and they have a lot of young talent they built through themselves. They got, 2 steals in the draft, that Michael Porter Jr. and Bol if they can remain healthy, but you never know.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think the bubble and the whole not playing in front of fans, no home or away advantage, I think it's going to benefit teams more that are going to be playing, that would have to play away a lot in the playoffs. So, for example, the Celtics, we have to go up against the Raptors or the Bucks in the second round in the Eastern Conference Finals. Playing in Toronto is a tough place to play. Like, Toronto, just going in there, like they have
Just
some of the
getting
most
into a country.
loyal fans. Like they have they don't have just that area. They don't have just a city or a town behind them. They have an entire country behind them. Like those going into Toronto for any team, it's tough to go in there and get a win, especially in a 7-game series. If it went 7, Boston would have to go to Toronto 4 times. So right there, that's an advantage for Boston. Same with Milwaukee. Milwaukee were 28-3 at home. So you're telling me Boston doesn't have to go to Milwaukee now? They don't have to worry about going up against a team that lost 3 times at home the entire year? Like, that's huge. I mean, you can say that about any team, but, like, especially the Celtics, depending on what their matchups would be, and or assuming that they would have to go up against the Raptors and the Bucks. And a team like the Nuggets, I mean, if we want to talk about sleeper teams, I mean, the Nuggets are the 3rd seed in the Western Conference. And I feel like people talk about, like, okay, you got your top tier. You got the Bucks, Lakers, Clippers, and after that it's like Celtics, Raptors, Rockets. Like, and I understand that because the Rockets, they're the 6th seed, but like they have 2 former MVPs.
Yeah, we know what
guys.
they can do, but
They know, what they can do. But the Nuggets, they're the 3rd seed. They won 25 games at home. They were 18-14 away, so they're nearly 500 when they play away. So it's like
what's their home record?
Their home record is 25-8.
Okay, see, I knew that they just kill it at home, and the road's a little
Yeah.
shaky. But with the Nuggets, I feel as if that's like the IT Celtic years, and the fact that we would just use all our gas in the regular season, and like the Cavs of those seasons, they had another level they can get up to. When the Celtics, they were scrapping the whole year. Yeah, they got the 1 seed. Yeah, the Nuggets always end up in like the top 3 in the West, but I don't think they have another gear to shift into. At least I think the Celtics do now, but I think the Nuggets are still stuck in that purgatory between elite and good. I think they're a great team, but I don't know if they could piece it together. That's why I'm interested to watch them in the bubble, especially if Bol is getting a serious run, depending on if he's going to be a legitimately X factor. But anytime you can throw a 7'5" 5,000 inch player, he's going to make a difference.
They had the tallest lineup in NBA history during that one scrimmage game where they had
Jokic at the point, right?
Yeah, right. Like if they pull out some shit like that, like who knows? But I mean, I like the Nuggets because they're a very deep team. They're well-rounded. Like their bench, they have solid guys come off the bench. But I agree with you. Like they're a great team, but they're not a team that will reach that upper tier yet because I mean, Jokic obviously is their superstar. He's their best player without a doubt. And then you look who's up next, Jamal Murray. He's a good player. Like, I'm not trying to downplay that, but he hasn't really, like, elevated his game to the point where I feel like people have wanted him to.
Yeah, he's not, like, a number 1 because that's Jokic.
No.
But he's not a great number 2 either. Like, he's
going to have to – Jamal Murray, even though he's not their number 1 on offense, like, technically he needs to be their number 1 scorer on that team because Jokic can do his thing, but, like, you need, like, someone like Murray putting up, like, 25 a game, like 20, 25 easily every night. And then, Michael Porter Jr., I think in a few years when he gets more playing – I think he just needs more playing time. I think
he needs to get off social media.
He says some controversial things.
Ever since quarantine started, he's boots on the ground, all lives matter. He's anti-vax, and he thinks Corona is fake. And I saw this kid play in high school, and I thought he was going to be the next Kevin Durant because he dropped like 40 points just in front of my eyes. I'm like, this kid is unreal. Him and his brother Dante. And then they each – maybe that's why they should get vaccines because they crumble. Like their backs crumble. Dante
has no back.
Dante Porter tore his ACL, and then when he's rehabbing it, touring it again. Like, I don't know. If I was Michael Porter Jr., I'd throw my phone in the nearest ocean at Epcot.
I 100% agree with that. But if we're going back to
But he is a
him on the
very,
basketball
very
court,
good basketball
like
player.
when he got drafted, I think he went 14. He went
Yep.
like right in the lottery. He was a projected top 5 pick that
He was
year. It
projected
just,
number 1 pick that year.
he could have been number 1. He really
before-
could have been. It was just that back injury.
Yeah,
that
right
really
before
put
the
it-
season started, he shut it down, and that's
Exactly. And then he didn't play his rookie year really, or maybe he started playing towards the end. But he's a guy that could literally – he's a solid player. He has the build. He has the frame, like the wingspan. He can put up 20 points a game, I think. Like if he has the playing time, he can be a solid third option for that team. But I also think the Nuggets have enough talent. They have enough depth where they can package a lot of these guys together and just go out and get another like stud player. And me and Ryan talked about this on one of our episodes. Like, I don't know. There has to be someone out there. There could be someone that becomes available sooner or later, and they just get that one guy that could put them over the edge or put them on that next level.
Who in between Ja and the Grizzlies or Zion and the Pelicans you want to see grab that 8 seed?
Jaw. Definitely Jaw.
If you're talking about who deserves it, I probably would say Ja and the Grizzlies. I mean, I love the Grizzlies. I love what they're doing in Memphis. Ja Morant, Jaren Jackson. They got Brooks down there.
Dylan Brooks. Yeah.
Dylan Brooks. He's
Jonas Valanciunas.
Jonas Valanciunas. Like, they have a solid setup down there. But, I mean, for entertainment purposes –
Dude, the Pelicans are marketable.
Do we want to see Zion and LeBron in the first round? Like,
but even then, you get Zion. Even then, if it's Lakers Pelicans, they have that trade for AD. You have Zoe.
There's a lot of history there.
Josh,
I completely forgot about that. I kind of want to see Zion now.
You have a lot of history there. You got because the media will just eat that up so bad. Like you said, you have the trade, Ingram, Lonzo, Josh Hart. Like they're gonna come out there. They're gonna want to.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. It'll be the most like entertaining sweep of all time.
Yeah, the Lakers will sweep them. Yeah, don't get us wrong. The Lakers should sweep them. Like,
but it'll be fun. It'll be a fun week of storylines of just anything that we could milk out of this. But yeah, I mean, I like watching Ja. I've always said before this season, like, I don't know a single Grizzlies fan, but now they're all coming out of the woodworks, surprisingly, around this time. But like, Ja Morant single-handedly made the Grizzlies must-watch TV, like, by himself, and that's insane. Yep. Zion, he didn't make the Pelicans must-watch TV. He just made whenever he plays, you're watching that game. He made anything must-watch TV. It's not like when you're flicking around and you think, oh, you're on League Pass one night, you're just looking around. And if your team's not playing, you see the Pelicans are playing right now and Zion's going on Twitter, you're going to pick him over Ja. You're going to pick him over virtually anybody, unless it's like Lakers Clippers.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. And imagine if the Pelicans like did win a game on them. You know, the media would be like, "Oh, like
they win game one.
he got his win on the king. Like, is he coming for the throne? Like, they'll have all that stuff coming out. I just think it would be pretty entertaining. Realistically, whoever gets the 8th seed is going to get swept. I mean, This might be a little hot take, but I stand by it. I think after next season, Ja Morant is going to be on the edge of being a top 5 point guard in the entire NBA. Like, I just think he has the talent. He has the shot. He has the athleticism, the speed, the playmaking. He added on like 15 pounds of muscle. Like, I think that was my biggest thing. If he adds that strength, he adds the muscle, and he can bulk up and just be become a solid two-way player to add that to his game, and he's averaging like 20 and 9 and playing solid defense. I think he can he's already made a name for himself. I think he's going to really like put his name up with the top tier point guard soon. Then
let's do this. This is just young talent to build around. This is for the next 10 years, you can have like a start bench cut, Ja, Zion, and Luka.
Oh my gosh.
We've done that. We've done a few of these before in our podcast.
But for the next 10 years, say you get 2 of them on your team, one start, one bench, and one you can cut.
I feel like you have to start Luka in this situation because, like, as a second-year player, he's averaging nearly 30, 10, and 10. Yeah. I mean, as a 21, 22-year-old, like, that is just insane. Like, he's been playing professionally since he was 16. He has the experience of playing overseas. He's gonna get his first taste of the playoffs this year, so we'll see how that goes with him. But he has the talent. I think the only things that I really have against Luka is he shoots. I mean, it's not terrible. It's not the worst. He shoots like 31% from 3, but he chucks up like 9 a game. He just needs to, just narrow that down, like become a solid, like, I know he shoots. His usage rate is like like astronomically high.
9.9.
It's insane. Like, so, I mean, he just needs to, not take smarter shots. Like, I know he takes those step back threes, like those near half quarters, like between half and three, and he cashes a lot of them. That and playing defense. He's more of an offensive minded player than he is on defense. He kind of is like is James Harden in the sense where it's like he puts all his energy on offense, and then defense he's kind of like he's just kind of floating around. But I mean, if we're gonna have to bench someone, like if we're being realistic, I mean, Zion, you'd probably want to pick Zion, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he's already like probably one of the strongest players in the NBA. You see him coming at you. Either you're going to go there and like try to take it and you're going to get killed, or you're going to turn to dust, or you're going to get out of his way and he's just going to do whatever he wants. I think it's just that's always going to be, I feel like, kind of like with Luka and Trae Young, like their names are always going to be tied together because they had that draft night trade. I think Ja Morant, Zion are always going to be tied to each other as far as like the best young talent in the NBA. But I mean, two different positions, two different situations. I mean, since Zion is 285, can run like he does, I mean, you probably have to give it to him, but it's not saying anything about Ja Morant. Like, I'm still very high on him.
Well, I was saying this to kind of transition into Luka. For as good as Ja Morant is, we just said Zion's better. Just for as good as both of them are, Luka right now is better than both of them.
Exactly, yeah.
There's a lot of good young NBA talent, and he's paired with Kristaps. I don't know how much noise they're going to make in the bubble. I don't think they're going to really move anywhere seeding-wise, and I don't think they're really going to get out of the first, definitely not the second round. But they're going to be entertaining games. Do you think the Mavs, say 2-3 years from now, are still running into this trouble? Are they still running into the wall of we can't get past X team, Y team because they're not being able to build around Porzingis and Luka? Or do we think they each take monster steps in their game? Because Kristaps is still young. He's, 24, 25 years old? Like, It's weird because Devin Booker is 23 years old. He's a 5-year NBA vet.
It's wild.
People come into the league and cook when they're 18, so by the time they're the 5th year in the league, Kyle Kuzma is older than Devin Booker. And I think Booker has 2 more years of experience. Like,
that's wild to think about.
You can't look at experience at it like with Porzingis because he's still young. Just because he has a good amount of years, because you probably think he played for the Knicks decades ago. 2-3 years ago, and he's 19, 20 years old. So do you think Luka and Kristaps work well together in the future? Do you think they'll eventually add someone on, blow it up? Just what are your thoughts?
What do you think, Ryan?
Honestly, like, they're still getting into the situation that they will be in if they are just getting bounced out of the second round. You either look to move Kristaps, because honestly, I think that Luka is your guy for forever. Like, I don't think you should get rid of him. He's the perfect guy to build around. He can do everything. Or they just clear a bunch of space with role players and they bring someone else in. So, I mean, I don't know how the money situation will work, but if they can form some kind of, I guess, big three there, and then they get by, then that will probably work. But if, like, in the next 3 years, if they're still in the situation, you either trade Kristaps or you just try to bring someone in that's good enough that can complement both of them.
Yeah, I feel like you have to give it at least one more year of Luka and Kristaps and see where it takes you. I feel like this year kind of like
I think
Kristaps
2 more years because of that.
Yeah, I think Kristaps was coming off his torn ACL, and I mean, it took him a long time to recover from it and get back because the guy is 7'2". Like,
his ACL is 7 yards long.
ACL is like it's so
it's
like
a first
crazy.
down. Like,
yeah, so it took him a while to get back to that, and so I think you got to give him some slack there. I think what the Mavs should do though is go out and get a wing player. Like, they don't need another guard. Luka Doncic is, he's a 6'7", 6'8" point guard. He can handle the ball. He can play. If you want to play a big lineup, you could put him at the 3. Hell, you can even put him at the 4 if you want. And Kristaps, he is more of a power forward, but you can put him at center. He's the big man that you want there. It's just they need another wing scorer, someone that could just a 3-and-D type of player. Maybe like, no one crazy. Maybe like, I don't know, DeMar DeRozan. He's gonna be a free agent coming up if they want to.
Yeah, but even then, I think he's chalked. I don't think
he might not. So that might not be the best example.
Yeah,
he also might be a guy chasing more max money, and they might not want to give it to him. Or how about someone like Danilo Gallinari, someone that can just come in, put up 18, 19, 20 points a game. That's all you're really gonna ask.
And he's another European player or Italian player.
Yeah, he fits right in with Luka and Kristaps. You kidding me? Like, that would probably be like an ideal, like, what they'd want to look for right now. Like, not another guard, not another big man. And then, like, fill them around with the role players. Like, they got Seth Curry that's the best shooter in
Yeah,
NBA
he's
history
doing
percentage-wise.
crazy good right
You know
now.
what I mean? So it's like you're fine with him. They got I think they might have still have Tim Hardaway Jr. Like they got solid role players on that team. Like
JJ
keep
Barea.
JJ Barea, keep
Legend.
Boban, of course. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah. Well, what's interesting with them is kind of like I think they're similar to how the Bucks built themselves in the sense that they really didn't sign any huge free agent names. If you want to call DeAndre Jordan a huge free agent, even though he got pulled and then he came back, go ahead, but it's not really. The Bucks, however, like the only team, you see all these teams signing two superstars, maybe three superstars, and you just build around that. The Bucks, they see Giannis, and they just fill their team with what fits around Giannis's game. Nobody expected Chris Middleton to be an all-star, really. I don't think when he was coming out, like he was a good player for sure, but nobody expected him to take this jump. I think that helps like this the system that the Bucks have. I think he shines a little more because of that system. You see Eric Bledsoe, yeah, he was a free agent signing or he came over in a trade, but they don't sign any really big name people. They're just signing good enough people that excel at the role to fit around Giannis. I don't know if the Mavs can do that with Kristaps and Luka because, like I said, that's kind of already signing two superstars. But if you let Kristaps walk, you could build something around Luka. If people are really this high on Luka and think he's actually going to be something huge, why not take a play out of their playbook in that sense? But you never know.
Yeah, no, I feel like especially too. My bad, Ryan. I feel like especially too, like they are going to be tied with cap for like Kristaps signed a 5-year, $158 million extension. He's going to be paid over $30 million a year for the next 5 years. Like they're going to be tied with that. Whenever Luka's up for a contract extension,
He's getting Mahomes money.
Exactly. He's going to get like whatever the max is at that point, which in every year, I mean, now with the pandemic, it might be a little different, but like every year, usually that max contract, it goes up. The amount of money they can give players goes up, and whatever they can give Luka, he's going to hit all the incentives. He's going to get the all NBA. He's going to get the awards. Like, so he's going to get as much as he possibly can. And then at that point, it's like, okay, you're paying two guys more than 30, maybe even close to $40 million a year. What can you do with the rest of that money? Like, I mean, I know Tim Hardaway makes a good amount of money.
Harrison Barnes.
Harrison. Oh, he's actually on the Kings.
No,
so,
I know. I was making a joke.
Oh yeah. So it's like they don't want to
The Harrison Barnes money
like that. Like they don't want to be. If they're gonna give out money like that, they got to give it to someone that actually deserves it. So it's like you have to be smart about who you give that money to. The rest of your money to filling your team with role players, guys like I mentioned, like Danilo Gallinari. Like they just have to be smart with it moving forward. I mean, and with Mark Cuban as the owner, like I know he's a very passionate sports fan. He really wants to see his team win. So I'm sure he'll do whatever it takes as far as like, going, having to pay the tax, going into the tax threshold. So, I mean, I think they're still they're very, 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 very young. So they have plenty of good years ahead of them. I think they need to give it another 1 or 2 years to experiment with what they have, maybe go out and get a solid free agent. And then at that point, if it doesn't work, you can try to blow it up, and it probably wouldn't be trading Luka. That's probably not going to be the way they do it.
I feel like you should never trade Luka. There's just no way.
Like, well, that's the thing. It's like if you're gonna trade Luka, like, what are you gonna get back for him? Like,
You have to get literally the best player in the league back for him.
Exactly. Like, you have to get like.
Well, let's do this. You have a 5-year contract, a 5-year, whatever, like max contract, and you give a player a blank check and let him sign whatever. So this guy is 100% coming to your team. Who are you picking over the next 5 years? Anybody in the NBA?
Anybody.
Yeah. So anybody's contract's up. You're about to sign a max contract. Who's the one person you want to build around until what, 2025?
Honestly, I'd probably go Giannis.
Yeah.
That would probably
because honestly, if you do look at Giannis, you just have to surround him with shooters. He can do everything else. He can literally do everything else. You have him drive the rim, no one's gonna stop him. He's too long to play him in the post. He can obviously pass. I mean, like, he's probably not like one of the best passers in the league, but he can pass. I mean, he can do everything else. You just need to surround him with good guys that can penetrate and good guys that can shoot.
Am I dumb that my mind instantly went to Jason Tatum? Like, it could be a Celtics bias, but if everybody's going to keep comparing him to Kobe, to Kevin Durant, to a young this, to a young that, and he's pretty good on defense. He doesn't get a lot of credit. He's getting like 2 steals a game.
He's very good on defense.
Yeah.
Like, do I think Giannis is better? Yeah. Would I rather build around Tatum's game than Giannis's game? Probably. If he can shoot substantially
He's more
better than
all
Giannis.
around.
Yeah, I mean,
That's a
that's
fair
who I
argument.
would pick. Then again, like this is going to be my Celtics fan bias to me. I'd pick Tatum. But yeah, I mean, Giannis.
If you ask me this,
I would even still pick Kawhi in this because I'm like, you're still going to get the best out of Kawhi no matter what.
If you ask me this 2
Kawhi
years
automatically
from now,
makes you a
then,
contender.
yeah, when you get guys like Kawhi and Giannis, like you know what you're getting out of them. Like Tatum, you kind of know
It's
what
a
you're
risk.
getting from
You're
him.
rolling the dice, but
Like
it's good
you,
odds.
it's like he had a great past 2-3 months. Like, but are
Mhm.
you gonna get that from him like night in and night out going forward? Like, if you ask me this 2 years from now, Ty, I might switch up my answer and
Oh
I
yeah,
might
if
tell
you ask me this a
Tatum.
month from now, I'd be like, oh,
Exactly. It's like I want to see
40 in the bubble. I'm taking Tatum.
I am very like, don't get me wrong, like I'm riding the hype train for Tatum. Like I like everything that he's done the past few months. Like I'm just eating into the hype that's around him. But I want to see him come into the playoffs, come back into this bubble, the regular season games, the playoffs, and I want to see him do that again. I want to see him maybe not be the player of the month averaging 30, 31 points a game, but like I want to see him being the guy on the Celtics going forward. Like if he can do that in this playoff run, and then my mind's gonna start going in some dirty places.
Two things before we wrap this up. I want to talk about two final teams. One, the team who's probably not going to make a lot of noise, but they coming into the year, I didn't think there'd be a fun team to watch. But now I've been watching a lot of the games. Is the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Mm-hmm.
Thoughts on them with Shea? You got Dennis Schroeder, Chris Paul, Steven Adams, Gallinari, like we keep talking about. I don't know if they're going to really make noise, but I think they're a tough first-round matchup that you just don't want to see.
Yeah, I mean, the scrimmage game, we played them first game. They beat us by 14 points. They killed us. They beat us by 14. In the scrimmage game, we looked like absolute garbage. The Thunder looked like they were ready to go. They looked like they were ready to start the regular season a month ago. I think that, thank God, they're in the West because they are going to be a team that you do not want to play in the first round. Like, do I think that they will beat their first-round opponent? Like, right now, they're the 5th seed. They're tied with the Rockets for the 5th, 6th seed. They're only a game and a 2.5 games behind the Nuggets for the 3rd seed. So, I mean, if they go on a win streak, the Nuggets go on a losing streak, like they swing a few of those games, they could sneak up to the 3rd seed. Who knows? But I think they're one of those teams that, like, they had a 0.2% chance to make the playoffs. ESPN gave them before the season started. And look where they are now. Like I just think that
stockpiling draft picks. They have every single draft pick.
I think they have 13 draft picks up
until
next
4 years, right?
It's absolutely nuts, like what they were able to get back from Paul George and Russell Westbrook and still be contenders. Like that is just like unheard of. Like that might be like this could be one of the best quote unquote rebuilds that we've ever seen. Like who knows what they can. Like the Celtics, I mean, look, the Celtics were a contending team. They were making it to like the Eastern Conference Finals with Isaiah, making it to the playoffs, and they had the Nets pick still, and then they were adding on Jalen, Jason to teams that were making conference finals. So it's like the Thunder are set up so perfectly. I know Chris Paul didn't want to play. He was like, I didn't want to play for the Thunder. He wanted to get traded. Now, I mean, he might want to stick around for a little while and see where this team goes. Because Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, bro. He's a stud.
The truth out of Kentucky.
I understand that, like, the Clippers had to trade him to get Paul George. And if you look back on that, like, yeah, you had to do
that 9 million times out of 10.
Like, you're going to do that. But that's also when Paul George and Kawhi end up leaving the Clippers and they go off and do their own thing, the Clippers are going to see Shai in Oklahoma and they're going to be like, damn, like, we kind of wish we still had that kid. Like, he's going to be a very solid player in a few years to come. And he's I wrote an article. It was kind of like just a cool thing to talk about. It's like, okay, Matt Mahomes signed a 10-year contract. Like, which players in the NBA would you give a 10-year contract to? And a lot of people said that they'd give it to Shai. And I mean, like, you know what? Like, that's not really someone I would think of. But there's a good argument as to why you would want to give him that because he has a lot of promise, a lot of potential. I can see him being an all-star within the next 2-3 years, maybe not even 3 years.
And then last team I want to talk about. Every single year going to the playoffs, this team specifically, one person has a lot of question marks going around him, and that is James Harden and the Rockets. And I don't see anything changing this year. I just don't think they pull it together. I don't think the small ball works. I don't think having PJ Tucker being 6'4" your center, don't think that works. I just don't think this is the Rockets' year. I think this is another year of Harden slander. Personally, I do not like watching Harden play because he doesn't win. That's wrong. I like watching him play, except when he faces the Celtics because he just infuriates me, or when he shoots a million free throws a game, which is basically every game. But when he cooks, he cooks. So I'll give him that. I just don't think they work. I just don't think they work. Simple as that.
I just don't like his play style.
Yeah.
Look, obviously he's one of the best facilitators in the league. He has one of the best handles, everything like that. Like his step back's like basically unstoppable. It's just he holds the ball too much and he doesn't pass enough. Like you can't just play ISO ball the whole game. That's the thing that infuriates me about him is just you have to move it faster. Like and especially with the team that they're gonna have, it's gonna be all shooters. So if he's able
kicks,
to, yeah, exactly. That's what I was about to say. If he's able to just drive and kick everything, they'll be fine. But he won't be able to take on the whole team by himself. Same with Russell Westbrook. Like with him and Harden, like they just start to chuck up shots. You can't do that. If they're gonna play it smart, try to drive and kick. You have enough shooters on your team. That's literally what your team is. It's just you don't have a big man. You just have shooters. So drive and kick.
Yeah, here are my thoughts about James Harden and the Rockets. One, I think James Harden is one of the most, if not the most overrated scorer in NBA history. I understand there was the stat thing that came up saying he was number one in all these categories when it comes to scoring. Of course he's number one in field goals made because he's number one in field goals attempted. Of course he's number one in 3 points made because he's number one in 3-point attempted. Same thing with free throws. He averages 34 points a game. He is in the most ideal, the most perfect offense for a guy that just cares about scoring numbers.
Hoping.
When it comes to the playoffs too, Russell Westbrook and James Harden, I believe, are the two of the easiest players to, like, you know what they're gonna do. You can not contain them to the sense that you're gonna hold them like James Harden.
Yeah, I'd let him go for 50 and cover everybody else.
James Harden is historically known to not show up in big moments. Like he does not come up in like the game sevens. He does not show up when it matters the most in the playoffs.
2011 Heat.
Russell Westbrook too. Like, I mean, you look at the NBA leaders for most turnovers in a season. From numbers 1 to 5, James Harden and Russell Westbrook take up all 5, like from 1 to 5. They chuck up shots. They throw the ball away. The Rockets screwed themselves by trading away Clint Capella and just going small ball. Like, I just don't think that's ever going to – tell me this. They go up against the Lakers. Who the hell is going to guard Anthony Davis? Like, who? Like, and PJ Tucker isn't going to guard Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis would average 35 points a game that series at least against the Rockets.
26 minutes.
Like, that's going to be, like, the easiest matchup for him. Like, I just think the Rockets just kind of – they put themselves into a corner by doing that especially. And I know Westbrook and Harden are friends. I know, like, they enjoy playing with each other. I just don't think that team is meant to win a championship. And James Harden and Russell Westbrook too, they might end up going down as two of the best players in the sense that what they've accomplished throughout their careers to never win a ring. I just can't see James Harden winning a ring with his play style, and same thing with Russell Westbrook.
Last thing before we wrap up, final thought. What is your finals prediction? Who's in it? How many games do they win in? Me, hopefully. I'm just going to go a hopeful stance on this. I think Celtics win over 7 against the Lakers because that's just what I want to say. I know it's a cliche. I know it's a bad answer, and I know it's homerism, but I'm taking that.
Homerism.
I love it.
I didn't know that's a word. I said that. I'm like,
we'll let it ride.
Let it ride.
My optimistic pick is I'm going Celtics over Lakers in 6 games. I'll give them 6 games. And then my realistic pick, I'm gonna go Lakers over Bucks in 6 games.
All right. Here's my fandom pick: Celtics over Lakers in 4. My realistic pick is gonna be Lakers and Celtics, and Lakers win 4-2.
all right.
Okay.
Well, Sheehan's not a Celtics fan, it sounds like. All right. Thank you.
I just said nothing. What I want
that
to
was your
happen.
realistic pick.
And realistic 4-2. What am I gonna say? I have to say that it's realistic.
No, you're right. All right. Plug your guys' stuff one more time. Check out Chasing Banners. Follow these guys on Twitter. We're going to keep it a tight show, but I definitely want to have you guys back on eventually later when the bubble proceeds, probably in like 2 weeks or something. Catch up one more time. See how it's going. But, yeah, plug anything you want. Where can we find you guys? All that stuff.
Well, my name is Dante Turo. Once again, Tyler, thank you for having us on. But you can follow me on Twitter at Dante on Deck. There you'll find in my bio the Twitter handles for both of our podcasts, Chasing Banners and Hoops Caviar, which, Ty, we also want you to hop on one of these days. We'll send you the invite. You can follow me on Twitter there. You can check out my articles. You can check out our podcast, all types of Celtics content, NBA content that will be coming out in the very foreseeable future. Ryan, how about you, my man?
You can find me at 401 Sheehan on Twitter. I do Chasing Banners with Dante and the Hoops Caviar, which he mentioned. And then my own personal podcast is called Sheehan's World, which Tyler was on himself, which was an awesome episode. And then I also have an Instagram for that, which is called Sheehan's World Pod. That's just a handle for it. But other than that, thank you so much for having us on, man.
Yeah, make sure you guys toss them a follow. They're good Twitter followers. I'm not sure. I know we have a big Instagram following. We don't really have a Twitter following. I don't really use Instagram all that much. So while I'm here, I'm going to plug my own, Ty Miller 508. Chuck that, because I got deleted at 1,600 followers, and now I'm at like 200. So I'm out here back in the trenches. Anyways, Boston's Big Three.
In the trenches.
Episode 68. We'll catch you guys sometime next week. Be on the look for a Joe Stafford, Chris Matthews of the Seattle Seahawks interview coming soon.